We are back here on The Law, live audio wrestling, joined by Jim Ross. With Conor McGregor coming out of this majority decision victory over Nate Diaz, ESPN reported this past week it is the third most purchased pay-per-view in UFC history. So that's not bad for Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz to have two of the three most bought pay-per-views in UFC history. There's a lot of money, Jim, in a trilogy fight. The question is that the next fight that you go in the direction of? Or what do you feel is the most logical next step for Conor McGregor? If it's defending his featherweight title, fighting at lightweight against Nate Diaz, fighting for the lightweight title, there's a lot of options with Conor McGregor with this victory.
Absolutely. Well, I would think that, first of all, it proves the old adage that personal issues sell tickets and pay-per-views, because there was no title involved in the two Conor-Nate matches. It was a personal issue, and it was very easily understood. It was very clearly illustrated by the two talents. So a personal issue is where the money was, and I just think we all should remember that, whether it be pro wrestling or MMA. I think that it seems to me like that he's still the champion, right? I mean, he's still officially.
Yes.
What is his weight class?
At 145.
145. I think that you've got to address that title. You got to somehow. You got to get some. You got to. He either needs to relinquish the title or go do other things, because he doesn't need the title, as the old expression goes, to sell tickets or pay-per-views. He doesn't need the title to be successful financially. But the UFC has a commitment to that title, and it's there. It's on the books. It's recognized. So right now it's dormant. And I don't think if you're a promoter, putting my Booker hat on, you don't want any title to be dormant or to be meaningless. And right now that title means nothing because it's not defended. So I would suggest that maybe McGregor address his title situation, and so that could be they could move on from that. But he doesn't have to worry about income or money, because whatever he does now, I mean, the trilogy match is they always got that in their pocket. You know, they could both have another fight if they wanted to and make more money and bill for this third match quite easily. I don't know if Diaz is of that mindset, but McGregor seems to be much more of a capitalist and enjoys the paydays. Exactly the same reason he taunted the wrestling world, the fans, and some of the talents. That first salvo of negative sound bites, he was just trying to sell pay-per-views. It was very simple to me. I never got caught up in the, okay, I'll send a tweet out and I'll get him. You know, come on, he's working you, and he threw the hook in the water, and those largemouth bass disguised as pro wrestlers, and many in WWE took the bait. So smart guy, and he's the guy right now. I mean, who else are we talking about in UFC? There's so many maybes and ifs. Is GSP going to come back? You know, and what's the heavyweight picture going to look like? Is Cain Velasquez going to regain his allure and his aura? All these things, you know. But right now, McGregor is the guy, and I just think that you know, he's as long as he can do a promo, John, he's a great heel. He gets people to pay money to come see him get his ass whipped, and that's the art and the mark of a wonderful villain.
And I feel there were probably a number of pro wrestling fans that bought the pay-per-view this past Saturday for that very reason.
Absolutely. Same reason that they bought so many Brock Lesnar pay-per-views in the early going of his UFC run, because he was that phony pro wrestling guy that us die-hard MMA fans wanted to see get his butt whipped, and we paid money to do that. And then he made that transition to where he became a baby face, because he'd put his pro wrestling behind him, and now he's entirely you know, MMA, UFC. So you know, that was the whole same scenario. It's really a game of human nature, and it's so predictable, quite frankly, and more often than not. So McGregor's in a good spot. UFC's in a good spot. They just got to figure out stuff like the female division needs Ronda Rousey commitment, yay or nay. Either she's going to move on and clear the deck for the females, and everybody gets a kind of a fresh start, or she comes back. And when she comes back, obviously it's going to be a massive pay-per-view, because the curiosity factor is going to be overwhelming to see if she's still got it, or has she lost her
Well, before we go, I do want to promote some events that are coming up involving Jim Ross, including Thursday, October the 6th for WCPW. It's their show Refuse to Lose. It's going to be an pay-per-view with the likes of Kurt Angle, Cody Rhodes, Jay Lethal, Doug Williams on the show, and it is going to be called by Jim Ross and Jim Cornette, along with Alex Shane. I've got to say, there's some impressive names on this show, but I think the commentary is as big a draw as anything on this show, Jim.
Well, thanks. I hope so. Corny said on Twitter that we hadn't worked together in these roles in 17 years. So I just remember some in WWE, as a matter of fact, back in the day, as they say, but a lot in WCW when we were both there for Turner. We had some really good shows, good outings, I thought. And he's a really good partner. He's always prepared, great at sound bites. He understands the psychology of the business. He, like me, knows that we're there for one thing, and that's to get talent over. So I'm excited about that opportunity to get back and do a live pay-per-view call. You know, I'm doing wrestling, obviously, as we discussed, with Access TV and the New Japan stuff, but it's voiceovers. You know, it's still kind of it's a different skill set you need for that. And then, but boy, there's nothing like doing live. And doing live and there is in Newcastle. You know, not before we're doing a Q&A, Cornette and I in London, which would be fun. But the Newcastle thing is, I'm really excited about it. So it'll almost be as exciting maybe as the train ride from London to Newcastle with Cornette. So that'll be always an experience. Even though we're not in the air, I just got a feeling that him in a tube, known as a train, will still be a unique environment for us to coexist.
And why don't you let all our listeners know about the next series of ringside shows? I know you have one coming up in September in Baltimore, and then, of course, tickets are also on sale for WrestleMania weekend. You're going to be doing shows the Saturday and Sunday in Orlando, correct?
Yeah, we got a show coming up on September the 23rd on Friday night in Baltimore at Jimmy's Famous Seafood. That's another Cornette and I tag team adventure, and so that's going to be on Friday night, September 23rd. Tickets are on sale at missiontix.com. Then we move to Wednesday, November 9th. I'll be in Nashville, first time at Zany's Comedy Club. And tickets for that event go on sale this Tuesday, August 30th at zanys.com. So that's Wednesday, November 9th. And then finally, the schedule now, my annual foray into WrestleMania with our ringside shows. Right now we have 2 shows booked, matinees Saturday and Sunday. Doors open at noon. Show starts at 2. Show will be over by 3:45. So you're not going to miss any WWE Hall of Fame activities or be late for WrestleMania. It's all right there. A lot more condensed geographically than Dallas was. So, but tickets for that are on sale now at ticketfly.com. Ticketfly.com for WrestleMania. Tickets start at $25. The VIP meet and greet tickets are somewhat limited, obviously, but they'll go fast. And but I think $25 tickets good, and get them early and figure that in your schedule for WrestleMania. So, and we may be doing other things as well there. We're working on a lot of concepts and ideas, but we do plan on this will be our, I don't know how many we did. New Orleans and then San Jose and then Dallas. So and that we're kind of building a brand there, John. You know, you guys have been to them and we have fun, and the audience is very diverse and interesting. The Q&As are always different, and so it'll be fun. It'll be a good time there, and I hope people will come to the show if they can and plan on joining us. It's going to be a good time for all, no doubt. I think it'll be fun down there. It seems like the people, the outside the WWE envelope people, are getting more organized and getting out in front of the herd a little bit and getting their stuff planned. So I felt like it's incumbent upon us to do the same thing, to get our tickets on sale, get everything established. Here's what we're doing. Here's where it's going to be. Here's what time it is, and then go from there. So a lot of good things in the works, and we're just keeping busy, and that's kind of a good thing. I do my next CBS boxing event is going to be Friday night, September the 9th in Las Vegas with Al Bernstein as my partner, and that knockout night, the D series, has really been fun because we're not using over the hill fighters that have no longer got anything. We're using young fighters with great records that are willing to put those records on the line. When a kid's 10-0 and you got another kid that's 12-0, sometimes their management doesn't want them to fight. They want to maintain that undefeated streak for marketing purposes. And we got some kids and some promoters that love the challenge. So it's really a fun boxing series. So that's on Friday night, September the 9th. And I'm assuming that airs in Canada. I'm not real positive, but I'm assuming it does.
I believe it does, yes. So we will be checking that out. My final question, is there any word of a UR Fight 2, a sequel after this past March's event?
No, I haven't heard anything more about that concept. It was certainly unique, no doubt.
It was.
To say the least.
Well,
I haven't heard anything new on that, John. I don't know that, I'm always willing to, it was fun. I thought the Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio contribution to that card stole the show. And it really shows you, even on a limited basis, talents, the skill set of Kurt and Ray are still really, really good. That's why when you mentioned the What Culture thing in Newcastle in October, I think, did I read correctly, there's going to be Kurt versus Cody Rhodes?
I believe they were announcing it was going to be a battle royal and the winner would face Kurt Angle. That was the information I had seen. I don't know if maybe there has been a change. But Cody Rhodes is on the show.
I seem like I read that, but in any event, they're bringing up enough. Jay Lethal's a hell of a hand, just really terrific, and Cody is really having fun. And of course, then you got Kurt. Kurt is for the old Toby Keith song. He's as good once as he ever was, and that if he doesn't get burned out, he's not on the road, uninterruptedly. He's damn good. He's really, really good. So that'll be a fun. I got to believe it's going to be a real strong in-ring wrestling pay-per-view. And I'm hoping that the Fight app, we're doing a lot of work with the Fight app, FITE, and I'm hoping to get that on there because we've done a real good job of marketing the Ring of Honor pay-per-views on the Fight app. And, the great thing about that is if you got a smart device and Wi-Fi, you're in the game. So it's pretty cool in that regard.
Well, you can always catch Jim Ross weekly on the Ross Report. It drops Tuesday nights on Podcast One, and of course at jrsbarbq.com. You can follow him on Twitter at jrsbbq. Jim, it's always great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we will see you soon. Maybe a future Toronto date.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at some Toronto dates, maybe in conjunction with Survivor Series in November. It's just a matter of logistics, getting the right venue that makes sense. And I'd like to do a Sunday afternoon matinee before the event, which is already sold out, as you know. And so we're working on that. So if we can get a business or a venue established, I'll let you know for sure, obviously. So, but yeah, Toronto's a great market for us. I got to play Canada. I need to go to Montreal. I need to go to Winnipeg and Calgary and Edmonton and Vancouver. I need to play the major markets there, and we haven't done that yet. So hopefully, we got a new team involved in that booking now. So maybe some of those issues that we had prior will be alleviated, and we can continue to grow with that brand.
Well, if you do Survivor Series weekend in Canada, I would plead to the people for the Q&A, let's limit the Montreal questions to one. I don't know if I could ever hear anything more about that Survivor Series, Jim.
I know. I'm with you, man. Hey, I'm with you. It seems like it pops up on my timeline daily. It's the same. I get people say the feedback between comparing Mauro Ranallo and me and myself is getting old because it infers that I'm no longer relevant. I like to think that that's not quite the case. And even though I love Mauro's work, it has nothing to do with Mauro. It just has to do with, people think that, I'm not on WWE, so I don't exist, and we know that that's just not the way it is. So, but the Montreal questions come up when you're going back to WWE. Questions come all the time. And did you know Mick Foley was going to jump from Hell in a Cell? No.
Oh boy.
No, I'm not going back to WWE anytime soon. They're happy and I'm happy. That's all that matters. And I didn't know Foley was going to jump off the cell. So, you just have these no, I didn't know the Survivor Series was going to go down like it was. And no, I don't think it was a work. I think it was real.
So for all future ones, you just send them the link to this interview, Jim, and
that's it, man.
you have
Look
all
at
the answers.
interview,
There they
get
are.
All their questions answered. It's a beautiful thing.
Jim, always a pleasure to catch up with you, and all the best with all you've got on your plate coming up. And I hope to catch up with you in the near future.
Me too, John. Thanks very much, buddy. You're always the best.